Welcome back to my channel. I'm James. I make art videos on YouTube here and I am learning how to draw, paint and do watercolors, digital art, and if that sounds interesting to you, let me know in the comments. If you are also learning these things or if you're already further along in your path, let me know how you're going, what have your expectations been and how did you meet them, and what sort of resources did you use to get better at art. Those are the things I'm interested in and those are the things that I'm going to share my plan in 2025 to start learning art properly, because I've failed in the past and given up, and I'm trying to be consistent this time and I've changed my methods a little bit. So first of all, the methods that I used in the past were trying to draw and just be consistent and praying that consistency alone would help my drawings. Spoiler alert, it didn't. They just looked like really bad. And I would draw the same thing over and over and again, different variations, but my skills didn't really improve. So this time I'm going to use a combination of books, websites and digital courses as my main three things that are going to hopefully let me ride the wave of learning how to draw and paint watercolors and do character design as well, which is the type of illustration work that I'm most interested in. So let's do books first. I ordered an anatomy book online. It's Human Dynamic Anatomy or something for artists. I think it's like a relatively new book from 2024. I'll put a link in the description section below, but basically it allows you to study anatomy from the perspective of an artist, which is exactly what I need. Obviously there are so many anatomy books out there and this is definitely not the only one out there that you should be referencing, but it's just something that I saw online today and I was like, I need to have this. Actually, that's a lie. I saw it in a bookstore and I was like, I have to have this, but the price was 23% cheaper online, so I bought online. It comes in like 2 days or something, so maybe I'll do a proper review for that in the future. But another book for watercolor that I bought is this one called Artist's Watercolor Techniques, which is really cool. I'll flip through some pages later in B-roll to show you more, but basically it just goes through watercolor techniques and tactics from a beginner level to, I guess, intermediate or advanced. And with watercolor, I've made a couple of videos on YouTube so far about watercolor and it's been fun, but I feel like I'm struggling a little bit because the type of art that I want to do in the end is like character design, which I can already do a little bit with digital art, but when I try to apply it to watercolor, my sketching skills still aren't like good enough, and then it takes time to do the sketch, and then I feel like I'm just coloring in watercolor and I don't really know any techniques. So for watercolor, I'm not really taking like a fundamentals art approach. I'm trying to learn it from purely a medium perspective in terms of like learning how to mix colors, learning how to do wet and dry techniques, all of those things. I'm very much a beginner, so leave comments if you have any tips as well, but I realized that the method of me trying to learn how to do watercolor via experimentation and coloring is a little bit difficult, and I would probably be better off to learn some proper watercolor techniques. So this is the book that I'm gonna use first. I do have a whole lot of other books as well, especially Japanese books, because I speak Japanese. I used to work and live and study in Japan, went to Tokyo Uni and worked in Twitter and other tech companies using Japanese as well. So I like reading books in Japanese, and that's one way that I try to tie my past identity as a corporate worker using Japanese to an artist who is learning their hobbies and pursuing everything that they've been interested in life through the lens of language. So yeah, I have a lot of Japanese books that I'll do in another video. If that's something you're interested, let me know in the comments as well. So those are the two books that I'm going to base everything on to start off with and get the ball rolling so that I have something concrete to focus on. Anatomy is probably one of my weakest art fundamentals so far. That's what I'm tackling first, as basically 2 weeks into drawing as a beginner artist again. Go look at my Instagram and you can kind of see what stage I'm at. I would say that anatomy is probably one of my worst parts at the moment, so that's what I'm focusing on. And then for watercolor is mainly like techniques. So yeah, subscribe if you would like to see in like 6 months to a year how much I progress with watercolor and if it works. And yeah, I'll let you know how this book goes, maybe in a more in-depth review video another time. But let's get into the next resources, which is websites. So I really like Line of Action for gesture drawing. It's good to practice your anatomy, which for character design is one of the most important, at least for me. You can still use Line of Action for free. They do have a paid version. I think it's like $1.50 or $15 a month if you want extra features, but they have some models where you can like rotate them 360 in photos, I think. I'm not actually sure if the photos are rotatable themselves, like a model or anything, but they have like different side views of several models that you can practice your anatomy and proportions with, and it shows a few seconds, or you can set the seconds. I think it's like 30 seconds, 1 minute, 1 minute and a half, etc. intervals of pose, so you can get the gesture and flow of certain models to practice your drawing and sketching skills. So yeah, websites, Line of Action is definitely the first one that I'm heavily using. The second is Pinterest. I think everybody knows Pinterest these days, so it's not really something that I feel like has to be mentioned, but the reason I'm mentioning it is because I don't find any other tool as useful yet, just for pure inspiration and searching. It's a little bit of a pain sometimes. I feel like it's flooded with AI images and ads these days, so that's a little bit disappointing, but even then I still don't have an alternative for inspiration and reference searching. So if you have another tool that you find it better than Pinterest for finding references and inspiration, let me know. I think there's other websites as well, like Instagram. You can look through references of your favorite artists or people that are models online. There's also Pixiv for anime illustrations. You can scroll through there. ArtStation inspiration if you're looking for more professional polished references or artworks to do master studies of. Those are probably the websites that I gravitate to most often, just from some more inspiration and reference point of view. For learning, I find websites, I don't use them as much as books because they tend to be mainly image based. I've found there's not very many tools that I know of yet that I've enjoyed as much as line of action. I know there's a couple more that are quite popular, but if you have any others that you would recommend to a beginner artist as well, put them in a comment below so we can share them all together. And yeah, so those are the ways that I'm going to use websites to become a better artist in 2025. And then the last one is course platforms. So the ones I've used in the past are Colosso, Udemy, and Domestika. So for Colosso, I find that it's the best for character design because there's predominantly digital artists, which the majority of character designers I've found in the game industry at least are using digital illustrations for their process for character design. So I really like Colosso. They got rid of the video program feature that they used to force you to open it in their proprietary video platform that would close and have all these errors all of the time if you tried to screen record. They got rid of that. So Colosso, you can just watch it in the browser much more fluidly now. So I really like that. The courses are a little bit expensive compared to other platforms such as Udemy and Domestika, but I don't mind paying if you get value out of it, pay for it. I really like Colosso courses. I am taking many of them, but I am trying to whittle down my approach to do one at a time and completely finish one course before moving on to the next. Whereas before, when I'd failed or dropped off the bandwagon with my art progress, I tried to do a little bit of every course and then didn't get anything done. So I'm trying differently with that. And then the next platform is Domestika. I really like Domestika because the courses are cheap and they usually are from European artists, or they're not all from artists. It's kind of like Udemy in that the courses there are very broad and diverse with their topics. I really like the style that Domestika has with their editing, where they work with the artists themselves. And yeah, I found a few good courses here and there, but it's probably like lower on the tier list for me personally of how I will be prioritizing my study schedule. I'll probably go to Colosso first and then Domestika if I get bored, to be honest. But yeah, if you're looking for cheaper courses, they have a bunch there, so check out Domestika. And then the third one is Udemy. Udemy also has very good courses and it's mainly an English and American based. It's like an American based one, so the courses there is usually like broader topics, and affordability wise they often have sales, so it's maybe a little bit more expensive than Domestika but less than Colosso. So yeah, check that out as well. And yeah, let me know what are your favorite resources for learning how to draw, how to paint, how to do character design, whatever your artistic goals are. Share them in the comments below with me. I'd love to read them. And yeah, bye besties.